AEW could be getting ready to make history again by putting on their first ever U.S. Stadium show. We're going to talk about a new report that has fans wondering if AEW is daring to do the unthinkable and running a football stadium show in the United States. We're going to talk all about it. We're also going to get into, honestly, a massive shift in WWE in the way they view talent and contracts that's going to make things interesting by the time talent's contracts are up. Huge shifts going on there. So much to cover in this video, and we're right here to do all that. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Let's start with the news of the day. AEW looking to make history. The good folks over at FightfulSelect.com have come out with a report, and here is an excerpt from that report. Quote, Fightful spoke with numerous people with knowledge of the situation in the Dallas/Arlington area that All Elite Wrestling is planning to bring a major scale event to the area in 2025. Numerous sources who had knowledge of the situation teased that it could be a stadium show and be on par with, quote, AEW's biggest event, unquote. We're told that officials in the area could make an announcement about the show by the end of the year if all goes well. Again, that was via FightfulSelect.com. The full report also talks about the history of AEW in Dallas and the Texas area. Go check them out. Go support that. Link for that is in the description below. But there is history to be made here if AEW is seriously considering doing this. Of course, they mentioned that whatever show they are pondering or thinking about doing could be on par, according to these sources, with AEW's biggest show. And look, their biggest event is, of course, AEW All in London, Wembley Stadium. Remember, it was just last August they broke the ticketed attendance record for a wrestling show with over 81,000 tickets sold. Again, that is tickets sold for a wrestling event before you get all snarky in the comments about that 71K number. But regardless, if, take history and most amount sold, whatever out of it, humongous show. One of the biggest wrestling shows that's ever been put on, and they were able to do it last year. And one of the questions out of a lot of fans' minds was, why would they choose to do Wembley instead of in the United States? Well, I think a big reason was it was something that was like right there that they knew would be successful. The truth is, UK and European audiences are starved for meaningful live wrestling, and they have been for a while. Look at WWE. There's a reason now under this new regime they ran France, right? Because there's a base of support there for that product, and we saw how vocal they were at Backlash. We are going to see in a few months how vocal and hungry the fans are in Germany, and in a few weeks at the Bash in Berlin. But with all of the money that's being thrown around and honestly the attraction that professional wrestling has become once again, there's a lot to be done as far as, more shows, more stadium shows. And AEW's in a place right now where, look, the attendance for Dynamite and Collision is not great, and we all know that. However, their big shows, like I'm talking about their pay-per-views, have held up. You look just this year, sold over 16,000 tickets for AEW Revolution. They sold nearly 11,000 tickets this past month for Forbidden Door. Like, they have sold 40,000 tickets, an insane number, before a match was even announced for All in London, Wembley Stadium next month. The capability of selling tickets is not, out of the question for AEW to do that. And when you're talking about Dallas, you're going to need to have the ability to sell tickets, because if you're running a stadium show in Dallas, the one big name and the big arena, the big stadium everyone wants to talk about is, of course, AT&T Stadium, where WWE has hosted 2 WrestleManias, where WWE broke the kayfabe attendance record of 101,000, whatever it was. Real number was still like a massive number. I think it was like right over 91,000 or something. Insane amount of people attended that show. An insane amount of people have the potential to attend this show. And look, the rumblings are, according to the report from Fightful Select, that 2025 would be the year that this would happen. They are not going to even announce anything, it seems, until later on this year. So that begs the question, right? What could it be? Do we have a situation where, All In potentially goes over and is in Dallas? I don't think so. I think for All In, right, like, that is an event you're going to run in the stadium every year. That seems to me to be the case. Until the demand is just not there, keep doing it. If you're able to sell 40, 50,000 tickets, run a stadium. Hell, 40,000 tickets. WWE runs a stadium when they run 40,000 tickets. AEW should do the same. If you can do it, do it. I think All In, I would honestly keep over on the European shores. I would keep that in Europe. I think there's a fan base, a dedicated fan base in Europe that really, is, again, hungry for these big shows. They want that to be a thing, and they want to be able to attend those shows. So I think keep that in Europe, but maybe for a show that you're looking for a new location for, Double or Nothing, which I think, look, say what you want about AEW and their inability to sell tickets. It would be a hell of a gamble, and in line with the spirit of Double or Nothing, if they tried to do that next year. And we know that Vegas is going to have WrestleMania. That market, they cannot run Double or Nothing in Vegas next year. I don't think they will. I think it's a unwise business move if they decided to do that. I think that's a potential spot for this big Dallas show if they end up announcing it. I think another one that we could potentially see is, AEW. I could see All Out too, like, and that could be a thing because you have All In, which again you keep it in Europe. Maybe they do it in Berlin, maybe they do it in Paris, wherever. You keep it in Europe, and then 2 weeks later you run another stadium show. Bang bang, big business. Again, we'll see what happens and how that works out, but those are just some dates that I would keep in mind that I could see them running. Again, speculation on my part. However, this would be big news. And again, when we want to put this into perspective, the last time another wrestling company was able to do this and pull this off in a successful manner was WCW when they sold out when they packed up, I'm going to say, the Georgia Dome. They did not sell out the Georgia Dome. And again, we can talk about what sellout is, what kind of all those different connotations, whatever. But they fit 30 to 40,000 people in the Georgia Dome. Massive, massive deal. And if you're AEW, do that, you would be the first company since WCW did in 1998 do that. So a lot to love there, a lot to watch over the next few months as AEW announces it. The other interesting thing is, are they going to announce All In for next year? And are they going to keep it in Wembley? Like that's another wrinkle that's going to have to fall. I don't know where that does fall, but I don't know if they're going to keep it in Wembley another year because you can only run that market so many times. I think maybe move it over to France, move it over to Germany. Hell, move it over to Spain. I want to see it all in Spain. I want to be in the Spanish heat, soaking up the rays over there next year on Real Take Wrestling. Guys, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know in the comment section what you think about all of this as we move on to our next topic. Let's talk about a big change happening in WWE as I think some WWE talent are going to be in luck when their contracts are up because they're going to be able to keep their names, reportedly. Let's talk about it. So, a major shift for WWE as Brian Alvarez has reported, quote, "I was told that these new TKO deals are such that when you go to WWE, they're going to trademark everything. For example, Ethan Page went and they trademarked Ethan Page. This is from someone in the company. When you leave, they hand everything over to you now." This is, again, according to Brian Alvarez, Wrestling Observer Radio. If this is true, and again, Brian is well sourced enough that I think we probably should take it with some truth here, and I think like it's worth talking about because we have seen a trend now. Multiple talent who've come in. Ethan Page is one. Stephanie Vaquer is another. Have come in, and they have immediately, reportedly, I should say, given their name, likeness, all that stuff over to WWE. Same thing happened with Jacob Fatu recently, and it was a big talking point. Are these talent being forced to give up their names by WWE? Well, it seems like yes, but under these new TKO rules and these new contracts, it looks like when they are done, when these contracts are over, they're allowed to keep their names. And I think a lot of people are probably misinterpreting what this is, right? People are going to hear this and say, oh, well, so when Seth Rollins becomes a free agent, he gets to keep the name Seth Rollins. No, I don't think that's what Brian is saying here. I don't think that's what WWE would be doing. But I do think names that you had prior to WWE, names that you have prior to WWE for new signings, I think those people are going to be able to keep their original names. Stephanie Vaquer, she's the example I'm giving. She signs with WWE. WWE allowed to trademark her name, likeness, all that kind of stuff while she is signed with WWE. Once she leaves, it is given right back to her. And that, to me, is perfect if you're a talent. Because if you can convince WWE to allow you to keep the same name you had in the indies or whatever, it gives you that backup. It gives you that assurance that, look, if all of this fails, if it doesn't go right here, I can go to the other place, I can go somewhere else, keep my name, keep my likeness, and keep this platform that I built up while I was in WWE. I think this is one of the better changes we've seen out of the TKO era in WWE as far as the way that talent are treated. This is game-changing. This could not have even been fathomed under the Vince McMahon regime, and it shows you that these are different times for WWE. These are different times for TKO. These are different times for professional wrestling, and in a lot of ways, and I don't mean to gaslight or anything, I'm genuinely saying this, right? A lot of this can be credited to companies coming up over the last few years, AEW being the big one, but a lot of companies, allowing this practice to happen. TNA did it for a while, and then AEW became very successful, and they are like that second company, but they are a very successful second company in that. But their ability and their willingness to do that, I think, has put pressure on WWE to be more competitive in this market space. And that's what this is really about. WWE, they understand that when it comes to things like the amount of dates you work, the amount of time you have at home, compared to AEW, they are not going to win that battle. For most talent, right? For most talent, they're not going to win that battle. However, if they can offer you the bigger platform, they can offer you probably more money, in a lot of cases, more money. And if they can offer you the ability to potentially build up your name for a couple of years and keep your name, that is big time. That is a difference maker. And that is the competition that everyone talks about. Everyone wants to ask, why is competition good? Why can't we just have WWE? Well, it's good because it forces WWE to do good things like this for the talent. It forces WWE, as we've seen over the last 2.5 years, 2 years, I should say, do great things with their television, because Paul Levesque, Triple H in charge of WWE and their creative, night and day with Vince McMahon. That show was fucking garbage under McMahon. Like, let's be really honest. He also just happened to be a garbage human being, but it was a trash, unwatchable, nearly unwatchable show when Vince was running it, and it is night and day, way more competent and better with Paul Levesque at the helm in a creative capacity. So we love to see that, and we love to see these changes. Hopefully we see more of these changes, and hopefully both companies get even more adaptable to and for their talent. I think that is better for the industry. It makes these companies more competitive, and it makes people bounce back and forth. And I know a lot of times people are like, I don't want to see people bounce back and forth. The best thing about being a wrestling fan, though, right now is you never know who's going to show up where. And that was the best thing about the Attitude Era, in my view. That was the best thing about the Monday Night Wars and WCW. All of it You never knew who was going to come up. You never knew where they were going to show up. And I think we're going to see a lot of that as these companies become way more competitive over the next few years. But that's just me. That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is this a good move by WWE? Is this a smart business move? Is it dumb? Let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to smash that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released.